If your gluten-free pancakes are dense or gummy or rubbery, you're probably using the wrong gluten-free flour or the wrong gluten-free recipe. This one uses everything you have right in your kitchen to make light, fluffy, lacy pancakes that are totally diner style success. So let's get to it. So who has buttermilk on hand? No one. And pancakes need to be made in an emergency. So what I do is I just make a soured milk. It's just 2 cups of milk, pour in 2 tablespoons of vinegar. It could be any vinegar you have, and then just let that sit for 5 minutes. All right, and then in a bowl, pour your soured milk, 4 tablespoons of melted and cooled butter. Make sure it's cooled, otherwise your butter will re-solidify once it hits the milk. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I always eyeball it with the cap. And then 2 eggs. Just whisk that to combine, and that's all your liquid ingredients. If you need a dairy-free recipe, you can use dairy-free milk and still sour it with the vinegar. You can also use melted coconut oil instead of the butter, or use a plant-based butter too. Okay, this is where I blow your guys' minds. So if you know me, I always recommend cup for cup gluten-free flour. For pancakes, I do not. Believe me, I tried. I tested it with cup for cup, and what happens is cup for cup has so much cornstarch in it that the batter gets really gummy and thick and hard to spread, which is not a good thing when you're making pancakes. So I really like using King Arthur measure for measure. I feel like it's the best runner-up that doesn't have that gritty taste. If you're wondering if your particular brand would work well for pancakes, just read the ingredient list. If the second or third ingredient is cornstarch, I would say no. If it's further down on the list, you should be good to go, but you want a blend that does not have cornstarch in it. So you need 2 cups of gluten-free flour, and then 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Pancakes cook really quick, so you need a lot of leavening in it so they rise up and get fluffy in that short cooking time. And then 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and then just 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So that's it for the ingredients. You should have all that stuff ready to rock in your kitchen. Just whisk that all together. Once that's whisked together, we're gonna pour in the wet ingredients and then just stir that to combine until you do not see any more flour. Meanwhile, while you're stirring this, you can heat up your griddle. For gluten-free pancakes, I like to cook them a little bit of a lower heat. So I do like medium low. The reason I do that is because the moisture has a harder time evaporating, so you want to extend the cooking time a little bit. So longer cooking time will allow the moisture to evaporate. The pancakes get nice and fluffy, and you will not burn them in the meantime. If you go to this recipe to grab the printable recipe off my website, I have a picture on there of how I try to make the pancakes with cup for cup flour and what I mean by the thick gummy batter. And you could see a side by side of what that looks like versus another gluten-free flour. I like using it's a large cookie scoop. It's about 1/4 cup. It just makes it a lot less messy, and you have the perfect size pancakes each time, so you don't have to use the bowl to pour out, which could be a little awkward. So some pancake 101 tips: when they start to bubble on the top, that's generally a good sign that they're ready to flip. I usually just use my spatula and peek a little bit. And that is perfection. They should be lightly brown on the bottom. And you see how these pancakes are nice and lacy? That is from the butter. So that is something you're gonna trade off if you use coconut oil. These little butter pockets makes this laciness, and they're nice and fluffy. You can see how tall they are. All right, same thing for when you're gonna pull them. Just kind of use a spatula and peek. They should be lightly brown on the bottom, and then you're good to go. So if you're the only gluten-free person in your house, like myself, what I do is I make a big batch of these and then I freeze them. So on weekend mornings when everyone else is having pancakes, I'll pull some out of the freezer. What you want to do is cool them completely. Cool them all the way so you don't have any condensation when they go in the freezer. And then I just stack them up with a little sheet of wax paper in between so you can pull off what you want. So I'll do like 3 in a stack, wrap them up with a sheet of wax paper in between, and then you can just pull out what you need. It works really well. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.